well, we're back in the Civic, and had some fun today doing a little bit of research on this thing. I was thinking to myself, being the Luddite that I am, well, it's got a charging system problem. We're not getting 14 volts, so it needs an alternator. So, all right, I figured I'll just pick up an alternator on the way home and have it ready, and then we'll take it out and swap it around, and that'll fix part of the problem. Then I started looking around. For some reason, nobody carries alternators for these cars. I thought that was kind of weird. So I did some more digging. Hybrids don't have alternators. Who would have thought? The charging system for the small battery is controlled by the computer that handles all of the batteries, the big one and the little one and all the charging and all that other stuff. It was at that point I realized I have been watching too many Pine Hollow Auto Diagnostics videos, and I thought this was just going to be easy, because Ivan knows his stuff. That guy knows exactly what he's doing, and I am not an auto diagnostician, but I play one on YouTube. So I bought a subscription to All Data so I could get the information that he can have some access to. I love his channel. I'm going to put a link in the description. Go watch some of his videos if you're into automotive, wacky electronic gremlin diagnosis. The guy is brilliant. I just love watching his thought process and how he does stuff. It's fantastic. But I digress. Anyway, so digging around in that, and then I looked at the fault codes that, first off, I looked at theory of operation of how this thing works. And we did have the non-generic data saying that the, bypass contactor malfunction. And what that is according, from what I can tell, there's the big battery back here, which no Tesla battery, but the hybrid battery back here charges a capacitor when you first start the car. And that capacitor, I believe, is used to balance the 12 volts and do all of the other wacky stuff. But in order to keep the current spike from being too high when the key is first turned on and that thing closes its contactor and starts energizing that capacitor, they have a bypass capacitor which kicks in first. And that goes through a resistor to keep the current down. So it charges that capacitor a little bit more slowly. But if you get a voltage imbalance or some other stuff, it throws that malfunction code. Now, the other codes that you saw right at the end of the last video, the ones that were just Honda specific, I pulled those, and they were more interesting because they were a little bit more descriptive, let's say. One of them was MPI, which is the electronic module back here. This was the other thing I didn't realize. I guess I could have done some more research. Is I'm thinking the only thing that can fail on one of these suckers is a $1,500 battery. Wrong. The MPI is that computer system that takes care of all of this stuff, and it's $1,800. So now Honda did have a technical service bulletin that extended the warranty on those things because they did have failures in them for 15 years, but it's only good to 150,000 miles, which I'm obviously well past. So this is going to be up to me to figure out what to fix to not spend that much more money on this car. If I have to, I will, but I'd rather not, obviously. So we have the P1437, which is the MPI module short circuit. Okay. The P1440, which is the MPI module output circuit malfunction. Okay, that's interesting. The P15A5, not 8A5, which is a motor current sensor circuit malfunction, but it has its first step in the diagnosis if those other two codes, the 1437 and the 1440, are active. You need to do those first before you bother with the 15A5. So that's interesting. That's helpful. This is all out of the All Data stuff. This is invaluable already. I've got some direction. This next one is the one that makes or breaks this. The P0A27. High voltage contactor stays activated. So it is thinking that what I'm guessing is that this bypass contactor is supposed to energize, and then when the main one comes in, my guess is it disconnects. and it's sticking, or one of these things, maybe the main one's sticking, I don't know, one of these contactors is stuck. So there is a whole bunch of troubleshooting around trying to figure out what that thing's is doing. And unfortunately, the first step is to pull the back seats out, get the cover off, get to the battery, turn the big switch off in the back, wait till the capacitor discharges, blah, blah, blah. Then you disconnect it, and then you back probe one of the connectors back there at a couple of different spots. And the first one is, if there's voltage between these two points, which I'm going to bet there is, replace the module. I'm not going to accept that if that's the case, and my bet is that is the case. I am going to do my damnedest. That module is going to come out. If it needs this, it's going to come apart, and we're going to see if we can fix those contactors. If those are actually what's wrong with this thing, I'm going to see if I can repair them inside of the module. Because I don't think they're going to be solid state, because there's some other stuff talking in here about turning the key on and listening for a click to see if it's actually moving, which tells me it's a relay type thing, like a big relay, like you would have for your horn or your whatever, your ignition starter and air conditioning stuff. If it's a mechanical relay like that, it can be cleaned, it can be repaired, and it can be replaced, is my thought process. So that's what we're going to do now. First thing I'm going to do is figure out how to get this back seat out of here and get the cover off and expose some of this stuff and see if I can electrocute myself in the process. But that's where we're going with this. This could be, I think this is going to be interesting. kind of scared because if this has got to be replaced, I have spent too much on this car. But live and learn. Again, it's a keeper. I intend to drive this until the mechanical engine fails, which, given a Honda, this should be about half-life right now. So, again, I'm not trying to make money on this. I'd love to have it paid off sooner, but the longer I drive it, the more it's going to pay itself off once I can drive this instead of the truck. So, yeah, I'm a little disappointed that this thing has this big of a problem. But again, auction cars are not at auction because they're good cars. There's always going to be something that's bad, like my auction Expedition. It's rusty, really rusty, but it's been running good for the last 3 years. We've put 45,000 miles on it. Still runs like a top. A few things break here and there, but again, it's a 20-year-old car. Now this is a little bit of a step up, but the first thing I got to fix before I worry about any of the rest of this garbage is I got to get that hybrid battery pack and that module, that controller, working properly. So that's what we're going to attack now. Come along for the ride. All right, something I've decided to do before I start all of this is I'm going to go in, try to blow out all these codes with the car off, including all the OBD2 codes. I'm going to just go clear everything now that I've got them written down, clear it all out, and then try to start the car, if it'll allow me to, with nothing in it and see what it picks up from then. So that's what we're doing now. We're going to do that, and then we'll see what happens. All right, well, they would clear and come right back, and I found a couple of more in there that I'm going to go look at to see what those say, and then we'll be back to start taking the seat out of this thing. All right, well, we got the back seat out, and somebody's been here before, because this bolt is not tight. It's the seat bolt, the back seat bolt. So I am not the first person to head in this direction, which I guess is unsurprising, but a little disappointing. So it has been checked. Found a dime. That helps defray some of the costs. There's definitely been some spillage in here. Don't know of exactly what. But, don't think it matters. What is this? If you can shape it in your mind, you will find it in your life. Fortune cookie, fortune. Let's go with that. If you can shape it in your mind, you can find it in your life. So let's hope that's an omen. Alright, now we're going to get those bolts, which is not a 10. Looks like it might be a 12 or 13. And then we're gonna see if we can pop this seat out of here. All right, here's something real interesting. That is Green Tech Auto on the controller module. This is the battery. Green Tech is an aftermarket solution. This has already been replaced once. Interesting. So, I think I may give them a call and get their opinion on this. Interesting. Seal is certainly not broken, so I doubt it's still under warranty, but they have 3-year warranties on their stuff. So let's give old Green Tech a call and see what we can see. All right, well, I just called Green Tech, and unless I have the previous owner's name who had this done, they say they can't even look it up, even by the serial number that's on the unit or the VIN. And they don't do repairs, they only do replacements. So that kind of leaves me at the same point that I would have been had it not been an aftermarket unit, and we are going to start digging. And well, it doesn't have any warranty anyway, so yeah, it's void. So those are probably going to get busted open, and we're going to see if we can repair this damn thing, because I believe that that is my problem. Something in there. So that's what we're going to be doing, I don't know, over the next few videos. Probably not today, but we will see how it goes. And I do see one weird code. It's a P0685, which is a PCM internal circuit malfunction or something like that. And that says that it's just the PCM hasn't been programmed or something weird thing like that. So I don't know. I may need to get Honda Data Management to do that. But we'll see. But this is where we're going first. We're going to start doing the diagnostics and checking on this thing and seeing what we can come up with. I am rather disappointed that I can't just get it repaired since it's one of their units, but oh well, we'll figure it out. All right, so I started troubleshooting this thing since they won't do anything with it. And the first thing you got to do is remove the cover, have the ignition off, turn the module on, which I did, then turn the lock off, wait a minute, and then check from pin 15 to 31 and 15 to 30, which is on this connector. It's kind of hard to see because I don't have a good light. It's on this connector up here. It's the second wire over on the top and the second and third wires on the bottom from the left. And I checked those for voltage like it says, and I didn't have any voltage. So that's good, because if you do, the whole thing goes. So I had no voltage. And then so I turned it off, which is off. That little red button is a lock. And I had to measure the resistance between the high voltage connectors, terminal A and terminal B. Which, this is a crappy diagram, but that appears to show me this red and white wire right here, from what I can tell. And I did that. And I had no continuity. And it says the junction board internal circuit is okay. Check for poor connections or loose terminals, and then go to step 1 and recheck. It's like, interesting. So I don't have a lot of insulated tools, so I got everything shut off, but I'm just going to kind of poke around on these connectors and stuff and jiggle these, pull all of the connectors in and out and move them around and check them a little bit, and then going to try to clear the code, and who knows, see what happens. But the first test was the one that I was worried about, because if it failed, it says replace this, seems to have passed. So like I said, I'm going to poke around on this and then try to clear the codes. What the hell, can't hurt anything. The other thing, let's see if you can hear it, is I believe I can hear both of those contactors click. They had all sorts of clickage going on there. So Now we're going to go into the reset the codes mode. Alright, well we've moved back to the original one that came up in the system, which is the P0AE1 bypass contactor malfunction. That has a pretty in-depth thing here. First one, after is it indicated, yeah, it won't go away. Bus bar and MCM can visual check. Remove the IPU cover, did that. Check for poor connections, loose terminals, or damage at the bus bars and the MCM connectors. I've done that. I did all of these before. I have popped all of those loose and given them a new whack with the 10mm and the impact driver. So they are snug. They didn't look bad to begin with. So, connections and terminals okay? Yes, step 4. Bypass conductor operation check coil side. Turn ignition to on. Clear DTC with the HDS. Turn the switch to lock. Now listen for a clicking sound from the conductor inside the junction board. This is the junction board, and we heard that before. Is there a clicking sound? Yes, there sure is. Bypass conductor operation. Yes, go to check 5. Bypass conductor operation check. Bypass conductor operation check. Switch side. Clear. Okay, turn the switch to lock. Connect the terminal, the digital multimeter, to the high voltage terminal. Plus side terminal A, minus side terminal B, A, B. That's these. The outer ones. Got it. Turn battery module on. And it is. Probably should have turned that off when I connected those. Oh well, I'll blow myself up at some point. Quickly measure the voltage between high voltage terminals A, B when ignition switch is turned on. Use a DC range. This is auto ranging. Normal to read 0 as soon as a quarter second after measuring the voltage. Okay. Here comes the voltage. Yep, we had a pretty good spike there. Is there a momentary voltage reading? Yes. The bypass conductor is okay. Replace the DC to DC converter. I don't know what that means. I wonder if that is what supplies the 12-volt power. We're going to go do a little digging. If the DC to DC converter has taken a dump, shut this off, and it's getting all the voltage it has, and it seems like it's working properly, but if the DC to DC converter has failed, then maybe it just can't charge the little battery. That may be our issue. So I'm going to go do a little bit more digging on hybrid drive removal replacement DC-DC converter and see if one of those can be had. Yahoo! Here it clicked, they just shut off. I think this thing's working. I think there's just a DC issue. So we will see. Alright, so I've run through a few more testing things and everything else seems reasonable. So I may be taking that thing apart, because that's the converter. And it's $500. So we will see. But I think we may call it quits for tonight. We'll catch up with this later. Hope you all are doing well. Take care.